Mike McCool here in the Royal Examiner studio, and with me today I have Dr. Tom Rhyne, right? Tom was the previous pastor over at the Presbyterian Church here in Front Royal, but he's been spending the last 8 years writing this book. If you sold this thing by the pound, you'd get rich. This thing is almost 800 pages, and it's titled The Poor Jamaica Man's Plague. Now, from the title, I wouldn't have a clue what this is about, so you're going to tell us. First of all, why did you write this thing?
When I came into this area, I knew I had ancestors here. And after I retired in 2015, I began to look around a little bit for information. And the more I found, the more I became interested. And finally I said, hey, this could make a book about these two families.
Right.
And I think it was early in 2016 I made the fateful decision to write the book.
Right. So you started off with chapter 1, then you found out more stuff, because there's tons of, what do you call that, bibliography or notes and things, just page after page of all your reference material. But it's amazing the information you can find, isn't it?
Yes. And of course I went to Maryland and I went to Richmond, Virginia, and got a lot of help from Handley Library. And there's just a huge amount of information, let's say, in the courthouses. I mean, reams of it.
Well, tell us a little bit about about these families.
Well, their names are Butlers and Tiptons, Tiptons. They were two colonial families. What I did was chronicle their lives as much as I could, and also relate them to the local, colonial, and international scene. So it's not your average genealogy or anything like that. It actually has the French and Indian War, the Revolutionary War, and in Tennessee, a war between two factions over the state of Franklin.
Right.
Yes. So that's what it does, and one of the characters, one of the Tiptons, John Tipton, rose from just being a farmer and all the way to being a delegate of the first General Assembly of the new state of Virginia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are all related to you?
These are my ancestors.
And that's something?
Yeah. John Tipton is my 5th great-grandfather.
Yeah.
And Thomas Butler, on the other side, who was his father-in-law, was my 6th great-grandfather. Yes.
Yeah. It's amazing. When we go back and we look at our history, most of us don't even know much more than our grandparents. But I can remember looking up things, and you see your relatives' names like on manifest and ship records and census records and things, and you say, "Wow, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here."
Yeah. There's more out there. I didn't find it all.
Right. Well, that's for the second book.
Yeah, I know there's more out there, but you have to have time. You have to have money.
Yeah,
it's expensive.
So, how did you, when you started this? Say the book was this thick, right? So, you just kept writing and just kept finding more, and you just kept finding more.
Yes, I actually deleted probably 250 pages, so it could have been a lot bigger. Could have been 2 volumes, but I deleted it because I didn't want to go two volumes.
What he wants to say is Amazon has an 800-page limit to publish books.
828.
828, and what's this one here have? 769 or 770. So you kept it under that.
Yeah, well, it's 783 actually.
Yeah.
When you count in all the pages.
Oh yeah, all the pages. Yeah.
That are not counted. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what's on the plan next? You have another book in you?
I don't think so. But get the word out. I like to get people to thinking more and talking more about history here, because this covers the origins of Frederick County and also of Shenandoah County. So I would like for people to get into a conversation about history. I have the Revolutionary War in there. I have the battles and those things. Maybe not like in a big book.
Sure.
Designated just particularly for that. So they'll get the history there.
I don't think people realize that we are really in the heart. This area is the heart of our history in this country. This is where it really all started in a way. And we have the French and Indian War, you mentioned that. We have several organizations around here, and we don't realize all the things that happened and how our county came about. I know that Larry Johnson has really been instrumental as one of your fellow clergy. He's doing his Liberty Man stick around town and around the county, and he's got the town to put up the plaques about Dr. Joseph Warren, who our county's named after. People didn't even know. They just know it's Warren County. Don't even have a clue where it comes from. So he started, and there's things like that. And we've got the bridges now. We're really digging into our history, and I think there's several people like yourself that want to preserve that. And I think it's a great idea. It's a great idea. Where'd you come up with this title here?
In Maryland, when they bought a piece of property and got a title for it, they gave it a name. The ancestor who was the immigrant who came first from Jamaica into the colonies bought a piece of property in Maryland from John Boring. It was called Salsad. So he named it the Poor Jamaica Man's Plague. Now, I don't know if that was a joke or if he was serious. I don't know. That's why I was able to use it. I use it as a code word for a kind of a infectious lust to wander, desire for more land, hope to prosper and succeed. And that theme runs through the book. In fact, it runs through American history.
Right. That's kind of like we call the American dream, and that is to own a piece of land. I think it's all through our history, and we look at all the ways, that we've gone through it. It's all about we wanted to own a piece of land. I mean, our ancestors came here from countries that you didn't own your own land. That was owned by the Lord, and both lords. But the Lord of the castle owned the land, and you were just a peon, so to speak. Right. So you come here. We wanted that American dream. What we could achieve it, and as we just progressed across the country, these dreams just kept going. And we read all sort about our history. It's a shame that we don't learn more and understand and learn from those mistakes. We were in Bible class and we're talking about the things that we're talking about, Joseph and Daniel right now, and you don't realize all those mistakes and things were made. We're still making them. We didn't learn anything. It all goes back to history, right?
Yeah. Well, in this book, you will get a history of the Revolutionary War, and the Tipton family in particular was involved in that. John Tipton had a son killed in the war. He had one seriously wounded. And he was the county lieutenant of Shenandoah County, which means he commanded all the militia in the county. So, there's you can learn about the war there. You don't have to go buy another book on the Revolutionary War or on the French and Indian War, although there's some very good books out there on those.
Sure.
That I used. I mean, I didn't do a lot of original research on those things because that had been done by people.
But this is local. This is in Shenandoah County, Frederick County.
This is local. Yeah.
I always think about that when I'm driving up and down the valley. I always think about during the Civil War that they could march up and down that valley and you'd never know it. I mean, and they did. They crossed, and the same thing, and even different in the earlier war, French and Indian War and things. You didn't have the roads and the transportation like you have even during the Civil War and later and throughout history. It's just amazing how we survived.
Yeah.
What do you think the underlying? How did we survive all this stuff? What do you think? Grace of God.
I guess it was the poor Jamaica man's plague that helped us survive.
Well, I think it's true. They were all reaching for that American dream, and I think we're doing that today.
Yeah.
I think so. What else you want to add?
Well, I think anybody who reads this book would profit because the Tiptons and the Butlers were sort of every colonial man and every colonial woman. Mm-hmm. So they were all very much like and had the same experiences. So the experiences they're having in the book, their ancestors here were having also.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Americans are connected to this Shenandoah Valley.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I heard rumors that I'm connected to like Lewisburg, West Virginia. That was named after some general in the Civil War, and supposedly he's a relative of mine somewhere down the road there. But my mother's maiden name is Cavendish. When we were over in England, man, Cavendish is everywhere, right? So she thinks she's related to the Queen, you know. But it's true. It's amazing. We don't really realize how our family tree just goes all different directions. It's just amazing to do that. I encourage people to, get into that genealogy. In fact, you can go over to the Samuels Public Library. They have a club over there, and you can they'll show you and help you trace back your family history. So it's kind of a cool thing as well. Well, we appreciate these are things that'll go down in history, books like this. It kind of reminds me of War and Peace. It kind of sits on your nightstand, and this is your annual reading book. You just read through this thing, and Tom says once you start reading it, you just can't put it down. You can find this book on Amazon, correct?
Yes.
Just search Thomas Rhyne or The Poor Man's Jamaica Man's Plague.
Right.
It should be easy to find.
It is, yeah.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming in and telling us about it. There's tons of authors, just like Tom, here in our valley. We've done several book reviews, and there's a lot of talent just right here in our own backyard, and we don't know it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, we appreciate that. He did tell me that his wife is thinking about writing her own book, but we'll see how that comes out.
Well, it's actually won't be a book, but it'll be a story.
Well, stories are good. That's how things start out, right?
Yeah.
Well, when that gets around, hopefully it's not 800 pages, right?
No, I don't think I'm going to help her, but I don't think we're headed for that. We don't have as much information as we had on these people.
Yeah. Well, you can embellish the story,
Well,
dramatize
I'm not very good at that.
Yeah, you're used to the seminary, and you gotta, you can't change the Bible, right?
Right.
You got the story, and there it is.
Well, I did a doctoral dissertation for my doctorate, and that gave me a sort of background for how to do a book.
Right.
Document everything that needs to be documented. I mean, we know that George Washington was president.
Sure.
We don't have to document that, but there are other things about George Washington we need to be able to document if we say them. So.
Right. We know he didn't really have wooden teeth, right?
Might
they
have.
say.
Might have.
The people spread those rumors. It's amazing how we believe things that aren't true. We just heard it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Things like this is great. Tom, I really appreciate you coming in and talking to us. We'll get this put up, share it around our community, and hopefully check your Amazon sales and see how it goes. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on the
I appreciate that.
show.
All right.
Really.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.